Thunder Bay Police talk about enforcement along the DTR. Good evening, I'm Haley Perot. Thank you for joining us. Thunder Bay Police say they're seeing a major decrease in transport traffic along Dawson Road ever since the city's designated truck route bylaw came into effect on October 1st. And as a result, the police traffic unit has no plans to carry out any major enforcement blitzes or drone surveillance along the route at this time. However, they do have officers monitoring big trucks on Dawson Road and in Kekabeka Falls. Jonathan Wilson reports.
Settles in. I mean, we've seen a great response already. The truck traffic is dramatically decreased.
Although no one has done an official count since the DTR came into effect, our camera person counted just 8 transports on their drive to Sistinen's Corner and back on Thursday. The city now has its billboard set up near Sistinen's and along West Arthur Street to alert truckers about the new weight restrictions on the city-controlled portions of those 2 highways. And city officials say nearly all the enforceable MTO signs are now in place.
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely we're aware that it's coming to effect, but obviously signage is a key issue for us in terms of enforcement. The city's done an excellent job in getting the word out there about the designated truck route.
Inspector Gord Snyder says because the word has spread so well about the DTR, there's no need for their traffic unit to carry out any major enforcement blitzes along Dawson Road.
So we haven't done any specific drones or blitzes at this point. I mean, at this point, we're at the monitoring stage, right? So we're still in the early stages. Education component. The education component is working very well.
The fine for failing to obey the signage on non-DTR roadways is $110 and 3 demerit points. But for now, Snyder says they'll only be issuing warnings unless they see repeat offenders along Dawson Road.
You know, stopping the trucks that might be violating and having that conversation with them to find out, what is happening. Obviously, there's still deliveries that are occurring along Dawson Road, so it's not as though the public would see no truck traffic. There's still going to be some, and just ensuring that we get the message out, even for the drivers that are delivering along there as well, to say, if you're not delivering, this isn't a shortcut that can be taken.
Snyder says there have been some transports turning off Highway 102 onto Town Line, Maple Ward, and Oliver Roads in order to avoid Dawson Road. Thunder Bay Police have the policing contract for Oliver Papoonj, and in response to concerns from that municipality's council, their officers have been patrolling secondary roads in the rural areas, along with the highway through Kekabeka Falls.
There's a lot of concern, and in our discussions with the municipality and the leaders out in Oliver Papoonj, there's concern there too, and obviously, right? And we're monitoring traffic through the village of Kekabeka along the highway as well. I mean, obviously, OPP is also assisting in that area. It's a provincial highway.
The OPP has provided some initial enforcement numbers regarding the increase in heavy trucks in the Kekabeka area. During the first 2 weeks of October, they've received twice as many complaints about truckers' driving habits, but only 1 vehicle has been stopped and 1 charge laid in that time span. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
In what has become a familiar story for the region, 2 area sawmills will be placed on temporary shutdowns later this year. The Domtar-owned mills in Sapawi near Atakokan and in Ignace will be temporarily shut down on December 19th, with planned reopenings in January. The decision comes shortly after Interfor's Ear Falls mill was put into an indefinite shutdown. While Ignace had a similar month-long shutdown over the holidays last year, Atakokan Mayor Rob Ferguson tells us this is highly unusual for their local sawmill in Sapawi.
Well, I spoke with the mill manager last week, and they have never taken a shutdown at Christmas time. Maybe a day or 2 here and there, but they are taking some of the inventory out of the market. It's a little concerning to some people because the workers that have been there, some of the workers that have been there have never been shut down at Christmas time. So when they hear other things going on, they get a little nervous on are they going to go back, but. Domtar has said that it is only an inventory layoff and they will have full intentions of going back in January.
And keep in mind, it's one of the newest, most modern, most productive mills in Canada. So I would speculate that it might be the last one to close.
Despite the shutdown announcement, the union representing workers at the Sapawi and Ignace mills has received assurances that those 2 mills will be reopened on January 5th. Work on Thunder Bay's new roundabout is nearing completion as construction crews prepare to wrap up for the winter season. Final paving and finishing touches are underway, marking the last phase of the summer-long traffic improvement project on the city's north side. Jaden Billick has more.
Crews are hard at work along the construction site at Cumberland and Water Streets to open the city's newest roundabout. Senior project engineer Brian Newman says although the big job won't be finished by the planned deadline, it should be fully open to the public in the next 2 weeks.
Being open by the end of October is going to be a stretch. Currently, we're finishing up some rumble strips and plantings on the roundabout. We have top lift paving happening, and that's a big deal. So once that gets done, we have a whole pile of line painting, thermoplastics, and signage to go up. So we're hoping in the next 10 days that gets done. So maybe by the first week of November, you should see it open.
As for the rest of the Cumberland Street portion of the project, it's still far from complete. Newman says plans for this year have changed slightly as the cold October air quickly creeps in. They're still hoping to get a base layer of asphalt down along that stretch before the snow flies and continue the rest of the work in the spring of 2026.
Yeah, there's just too much work left there to do to really complete this year. But so far it's gone really, really well, and there's just been a lot of unforeseen, so to speak, under the ground. So getting the roundabout open obviously is our number one concern, and then Cumberland will follow. But again, mid-November it'll be open.
As construction continues, Newman reminds the community that the roundabout is still not open for public use. Jaden Billick, TBT News.
Crossing the Canadian border with too much booze and cash resulted in fines for a pair of U.S. travelers. According to the Canada Border Service Agency, on October 10th, 2 Virginia residents were caught at the Pigeon River border crossing with 17 bottles of wine, 12 bottles of liquor, and the equivalent of $13,000 Canadian, well over their personal limits. Travelers must declare if they're carrying more than $10,000 when crossing the border. The individuals were fined $100 for failing to declare the alcohol, which was seized by border agents, and $650 for failing to declare the cash. Prime Minister Mark Carney has expressed that it's time for our country to build big and greenlight national projects. One of those projects is building small modular nuclear reactors. They are designed to be built in factories, shipped to a site, and installed in an effort to allow more flexibility than a standard nuclear power plant. Today, the federal and Ontario governments teamed up to invest $3 billion to build a series of these reactors east of Toronto. CTV's Siobhan Morris tells us more.
The federal and provincial governments are teaming up to build small modular reactors at Darlington, kicking in a combined $3 billion for the nuclear project, the first of its kind in the G7. This is the first of the Prime Minister's major projects in Ontario, part of a pledge to build as an antidote to the U.S. trade war.
When we bet big on the type of infrastructure we're talking about today, we realize the benefit as Ontarians, as Canadians, for generations.
Construction on the first reactor started back in May. Once all 4 are online in about 2030, they'll pump out electricity to power 1.2 million homes. The reactor is expected to generate 18,000 jobs.
We're also making sure that at least 80% of the project spending goes to Ontario companies, and we're using Ontario products at every opportunity.
A lift for steelworkers suffering under the weight of tariffs. Mark Carney predicts the effects will be long-lasting.
This is about also establishing leadership in the technology.
Canadian expertise that can be tapped into around the globe and at home.
We could put an SMR up into a mining project rather than building 1,200 kilometers of transmission lines.
The Premier invites the Prime Minister to collaborate on more nuclear projects. The provincial government is hopeful its key priority will be on the next list of special projects announced by the Prime Minister later this month. That's expediting extraction of critical minerals from Northern Ontario's Ring of Fire. What about the Premier's controversial pet project, a tunnel for cars in transit under Highway 401? In September, Doug Ford was sure Carney would get on board.
I just believe he will.
A surprised eyebrow raise from the Prime Minister when CTV News asked about Ford's confidence he'll say yes.
Well, look, we're having discussions, we're sequencing the discussions with the province of Ontario.
Not giving a yes or a no for the moment. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The Thunder Bay Roads Division is turning to artificial intelligence to tackle one of its biggest road problems, potholes. The city is planning on implementing smart cameras on its vehicles to track the pavement issues more efficiently. Jessica Clement has the details.
In 2024, Thunder Bay road crews used 2,300 tons of asphalt to repair potholes, cracks, and other roadway issues, enough to fill more than 4,000 typical potholes. To help keep up with that much road work, the city is planning on implementing a new AI technology to make detecting those issues more efficient.
So we're looking at a new system that actually incorporates smart camera technology that you'd stick on your dash. It'd analyze the roads and it would detect things like cracks and potholes. As it's patrolling the roads, it takes a snapshot of every deficiency in the road. So it'll be a better way to actually track those and record those. And then we could put out the crews to go make those repairs. We'll have a database with everything that the patroller records, and we can plan our work that way.
Roads manager Ian Spaljerich says they already have staff patrolling the roads on a daily basis, with any deficiencies and cracks recorded manually on paper. He notes this new smart camera system is used in other places in Canada.
We're always talking to other cities and seeing what they use for when they're out patrolling, and there is different systems. And something similar to this caught our eye, and we thought it'd be beneficial for us.
There are several different companies offering this type of technology. Spaljerich says the city has already invited vendors to express their interest in bidding for the project here.
So the EOI is out right now, and it's closing this week. So then next week we'll review and we'll award to the successful proponent.
Once the contract is awarded, cameras could be installed within a few weeks on the dashboards of 2 road patrol vehicles. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
It's a project officials at the Thunder Bay Airport describe as a direct response to community feedback, and it's almost complete just in time for the winter season. The expansion of the main parking lot is much needed, with an extra 200 spaces being created west of the existing lot. Crews are laying fresh asphalt this week as the newly expanded parking area is being created. Final markings and finishing touches are expected in the coming weeks. The airport's Director of Business Development, Jackie McDonald, says the expansion also includes bigger parking spaces, and she provided an update on the work at hand.
Weather permitting, the parking lot should be done in 2 weeks' time. That includes all paving, everything will be open to the public. So we're really excited about that. It's pretty much come in on time, which is awesome. So we want to thank Nadine Contracting and KGS Group for all their hard work to date, as well as our passengers for their patience. As you can see from our parking lot, pretty much any day, we're running at about 90-95% full. Yep. All the time, so there is need for that capacity upgrade, so I think passengers will be very happy.
Well, definitely a lot of discussion regarding preparing for the winter months, getting work done in time. And Fiona, we've noticed a cooler week this week, that's for sure.
Absolutely, especially at night. Temperatures have been dropping in some parts of the region. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we've stayed slightly above freezing for the most part. Last night was a case in point. We had a low of 1. We warmed up to 7, just a degree or so below normal for this time of year. But that was with winds from the northwest starting out very light, about 8 kilometers per hour this morning. But this afternoon kicking up to 32 k, and we had wind gusts up to 45 k in the last few hours. Now, we had mostly cloudy skies. We had a couple of brief afternoon showers, maybe even better description would be a little bit of drizzle. So not a lot of rain, but there were parts of the region that still saw precipitation. And unfortunately, in many areas, that came in the form of snow. Now, to the west, temperatures started out with early morning lows below the freezing mark, -1 in Red Lake, -2 in Fort Frances, so it was all pretty consistent that way. As you headed further east, the overnight lows didn't get quite as cool, just barely above the freezing mark, but this entire region started the day with light snow until about noon in Red Lake, and then in Greenstone, it switched over to rain after about 1 o'clock this afternoon when temperatures rose to about 2 Celsius, and that's what they're still dealing with. A little bit further south, Fort Frances is finally enjoying some sunshine, and they're at 6 Celsius. East of Lake Superior in Wawa and Sault Ste. Marie, they had Rain pretty much off and on all day. It's just been in the last hour that they've seen a little bit of a break, but there is the potential for more overnight tonight. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we have just a 30% chance of showers or drizzle in the next couple of hours, early evening. Then, for the most part, it should be done and we will be clearing by morning, but those clearer skies and winds gusting up to 40 kilometers per hour to start is going to keep that cool air moving into the city. Now the winds will taper off down to about 10 km from the northwest by the early morning hours, but temperatures will also drop down to -4, and we could be looking at wind chills of about -7 to start the day tomorrow. So it might be a little bit of a shock to the system. I'm not going to lie, not really looking forward to that myself, but you might consider plugging in your car and pulling out your scrapers. You might need it first thing in the morning.
Oh wow, plugging in my car. I haven't thought about that in a while. Scary to think about, but
Something
thank
to
you for the
consider.
warning. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Fiona.